There we are.
There we go. That and let's pull it up on here.
Sounds good.
Boom! Look at that.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome to our live, everybody.
Hello.
Today we got a question, and we wanted to come live and answer it together. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to change your attachment style. So yeah, um, we identified some simple ways to do that in a previous video, but we wanted to kind of come through it and simplify it super quick, so we could connect with you guys live.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Do you want to kick it off with one of the ways to change?
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in the video about a lot of reaction was about emotions journal.
Mm.
So to change your attachment style, first you need to be reflective on what's happening inside you. And if you could acknowledge it, you know how to like do it differently or like think about it differently, have different kind of reaction to it. So first thing first you need to do is to realize what's going on inside you. And I kind of said how to react differently. But before you have a reaction, people always have emotions that trigger your reactions. So that's why we say keep an emotions journal. And it's quite simple. You just write down the day and time when an event happened that triggered you certain emotions, or you had a big reaction that felt like out of control or out of hands. And what you do is after you write that down, and next to that event, you write down what emotions you went through. You could write down thoughts too. So let me think of an example. Let's say like we had an argument about like me waiting for him to come home after work at a certain time. Like let's say he would usually come home at 6 p.m. after work. And that day I didn't hear anything from him until like 7 p.m. And I'm like wondering, like, that's not usual. And my reaction would be like, oh, he must be doing something sketchy. He's not telling me anything. And then I could have a thought like our marriage or me, I must not be his priority. He's doing something else somewhere else. And then like I could write down those thoughts. So and then after that I would write down the emotions that I would be feeling. So in that case, probably I would be feeling angry, and I would also feel sad, lonely. Yeah, you can write down all the emotions you can think of, and if it's hard to kind of spot everything, you feel like you haven't cleared all the emotions and be able to put it into words, this thing called emotions wheel always help.
Definitely.
So we always had that on our fridge, in our office, everywhere. So yes, so one more time. First thing, when you write down emotions journal, to be reflective on your attachment style and then be able to change it. First, you write down the date and time when the event happened that triggered you, and then you write down the event. And when you write that down, be sure to make it a fact-based. So like you're gonna write down like your emotions and thoughts afterwards. So you just write down, I was at home. Brandon usually comes home at 6 p.m., but he didn't come home or didn't text me till 7 p.m. Just that. And then next to it, I'd write down thoughts like, oh, he's doing something behind my back, or he's not texting me. That means I'm not his priority. And then Next to that, I write down my emotions, which is anger, sadness, um, loneliness, that kind of stuff. So that is like the very first step of um, how to be proactive in changing your attachment style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And eventually you will so you repeat that every time you feel triggered. Sometimes it is hard to do that right after you get very emotional or triggered. So when I started doing it, I would just have time to do it at night when my emotions have come down a little bit and I'm I'm more relaxed. But more you practice, you get used to it and you'll be able to kind of do it in your mind right after you're triggered or even when you're triggered. And so the important thing is you keep doing it and then practicing it over and over. And then the result of it is you will start to see the pattern in it. And then I can guarantee you 100% everybody has a pattern, thought pattern, emotion pattern, which is where you go back to your attachment style because that's what you're kind of tied to and you tend to think or feel certain ways.
Yeah.
So that's how you start to kind of shine the spotlight on where your like how your pattern works. And then once you kind of see it from a third person's perspective through the emotions journal, you'll be able to kind of have a plan moving forward how to think differently.
Yeah, I would say going along with that too is being able to stop the reaction. So pausing on the big blow up reaction. And why this goes along well with that is because, pausing and taking a break from maybe what's going on in the conversation could help you take a step back, go do your emotions journal, and then you could even come back to the conversation after that and say, I've written down kind of why I reacted this way. And this is kind of what I've identified as what triggered me in the conversation. This will help you guys build a really smooth way of communication where you can not react, but, or if you do react, rather, pause it, take a break, and then come back to it in a healthy way. Be able to just talk about your pattern that you're seeing, what triggered you and your partner, and the fact that you're able to take that break just stops it from going even further. And you saying things, your partner saying things that you don't necessarily mean. It's just a lot easier way of communicating your triggers to each other. So I don't know if you have anything to add on to that one, but I think that one was a big thing for us to figure out. Like for me, especially, like, okay, I need to take a step back because I get flooded with emotions and I can't really have the conversation that I want to have when I'm flooded with emotions and I'm just defensive at this point. So anything I say is going to come from a place of defensiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens to everybody. So that is that taking a pause, be able to take a pause is definitely a part of being like be reflective and proactive to change your attachment style. So maybe that should come first before talking about emotions journal, really. So do that and then do the emotions journal. And then once you get a hang of emotions journal, once you get the hang of emotions journal, there's like further steps that you can take in it, which is, so I talked about like acknowledging what's happening, seeing your pattern. And then the next step will be kind of introducing yourself to the other ways of thinking or looking at that event that triggered you, right? So the reason why it triggers you is because of the attachment style that you have. You kind of have this like filter in front of your eyes and you see things certain ways. You kind of twist it in your own way. So from there, from the emotions journal, what you gotta do next is to introduce yourself to the new way of thinking. And what would help doing that is to have a courtroom in your own head, which was one of the like favorite things, that the tool that I was given by my therapist. So you basically have, I don't remember what English term is. There, the two sides in a courtroom, but like one side basically like presents the evidence that supports your thoughts. That like in our case, like the example we talked about was, okay, he's not home after 6 p.m. He hasn't said anything for an hour, which is unusual. And my thought is that I'm not his priority, right? Or he's doing something sketchy behind my back. And the proof that I would have that is a fact is that, or like something that makes me believe that, is that really it's very hard to actually come up with this one that actually supports your thoughts, because when you think about it, with just the facts laid down, a lot of times you don't find a lot. But if you were to go to the other side of the courtroom and then say, bring up the evidence that says the otherwise, or that doesn't support your thoughts, how you look at the fact is that I was thinking I'm not his priority, but as a fact, he didn't say that out loud to me, right? So it doesn't support that thought. Or if I was thinking I'm not his no, he's doing something sketchy behind my back, as an evidence that doesn't support that thought is, have I found out anything specifically? No, I haven't. All the fact that I have is he's home late for an hour and I haven't heard of him. So that doesn't necessarily support the thought that I had, that was, he's doing something sketchy behind my back. So you kind of do that courtroom in your own head, and you kind of see that from a third person's perspective, and then you see the pattern of thoughts that you tend to fall into even more so. And then since you're kind of arguing back and forth with two sides, you do hear the other side saying, okay, well, you know what, maybe. And then from there, you can kind of think like, okay, well, here is the proof that supports my thought, and here's the proof or evidence that doesn't support my thought. So what are the other things, other cases that my thoughts can think of? And then I could think like, okay, as a fact, the fact is improving that he's doing something sketchy behind my back. So maybe simply he's just busy. So you could write down your new thoughts or possible thoughts too. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that your heart is jumping onto, because it is normal for you to have a certain pattern, certain attachment style, and your emotions go that way naturally. But like, okay, I mean, from third person's perspective, you could be going through this experience, or and be thinking this way, kind of thing. Just to introduce yourself to different kind of thoughts, and that just kind of clears it up for yourself. And a lot of times it does make your very strong emotions feel a little bit lighter by having other options to like look at things. So yeah.
Yeah. And for the insecure type attachment style, sometimes it's even better, or not better, but sometimes it's really effective to find a therapist to talk to them about it. And, it can just help clear up things that you are not necessarily identifying, or your partner maybe even not be able to come up with. And speak up out loud about. So I think overall, through all the attachment styles, insecure, avoidant, all those that aren't secure, finding a therapist to talk to about, or just like a life coach in general, to help you kind of target the way that you want to go and set these goals for yourself is such a healthy way to approach any relationship. And yeah, I think that keeps you kind of looking forward and helps you build those new habits, work towards your goals of the communication that you want to go to. Um, yeah, overall, I think that's helped us both kind of become better communicators and overall work towards the people that we want to be. Yeah.
By changing your attachment style, by finding a therapist or a life coach.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it helps you, it helps provide you that secure attachment to those who aren't in the secure attachment zone. So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, because right now we're talking about like being proactive and changing your attachment style, and I mean, like this comes out to everybody has it. Pretty much everybody has it to a degree, and it comes up the surface when you're in a relationship. But that doesn't mean that your partner is going to fix it either. So I think that's why finding a therapist or a life coach is such a healthy thing for you and your partner together. There are certain things you can do, like taking a pause, doing an emotional journal. But yeah, communicating about it with your partner is another thing.
Yeah,
it is very tricky because it's a insecure attachment style and insecure attachment style together. Sometimes, a lot of times, I would say.
Or sometimes it's even like insecure and avoidant attachment style. So then the person who's the avoidant attachment style isn't even going to.
Yeah, because it's both insecure.
Yeah, try to like.
It's insecure attachment style and insecure attachment style.
Yeah, they're both just.
Like you're saying, anxious and avoidant is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, like anxious and avoidant if you're working together to try, or if you're trying to work together to fix your attachment style to become secure together, it's just kind of gonna butt heads with one person being the anxious insecure and one person being the avoidant insecure attachment style. So
yeah, it's not impossible, but it's a lot smoother when there is a third person who is kind of like navigating you through that.
Yeah.
Because insecure attachment style does come with high emotions and stuff, and that it just becomes more like the what's the word? Yeah. And I think people think finding a therapist is for like a broken relationship, but it's not necessarily that. It's just you being proactive and taking an action towards being a better partner, being better to yourself. Because if you have an insecure attachment style, you will repeat that pattern no matter what or who you are with, to a degree.
Yeah, it could change a little bit even inside the insecure realm, right? To become more anxious or more avoidant to the conflicts, but
yeah,
typically going to stay in that insecure attachment zone.
Yeah, being proactive, being very conscious about changing it is really the only way to change it. So yeah, taking a pause to be able to reflect is the first thing. And then the best tool we found is keeping an emotions journal. And to do that, write down the event, thoughts, feelings. And to go further on that, once you are used to doing that, is having a courtroom in your own head and then come up with evidence that support or don't support your thoughts.
Yeah.
And that would kind of, in Japanese, like, phrase, you soften your brain is what people say.
Yeah.
Be more open and flexible with the way you think, and then your reactions would change. which will honestly change your pattern in a relationship a good amount already.
Right.
But it's a deep rooted thing. So definitely a therapist or coach working with you helps, and
Yeah.
just a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be the ultimate things that we would say is helpful to change your attachment style.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Like the live video and subscribe if you're just finding us now. And if you're coming around and you're already subscribed, thanks for being in our community.
We're planning on doing live and answering other questions that we got.
Yeah. So if you have any questions too, send them on over to us.
You can comment on our YouTube or find us on Instagram and DM us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye.